Have you ever woken up one morning and felt that something was different? Not just a little tired or stiff, but truly different. Like your legs no longer respond the same, your back feels tighter, and even getting out of a chair requires a small push from your arms. You might brush it off as a bad night's sleep or a lazy weekend, but deep inside, there's that quiet worry. Am I starting to lose my strength? Are my bones getting weaker? For many people over 50, especially in countries like Vietnam where traditional diets and lifestyles are changing rapidly, this feeling isn't rare. In fact, it's one of the first signs that our bones and joints, once strong, flexible, and reliable, are quietly asking for help. With age, our body naturally changes. But what's often misunderstood is that weakness, pain, and joint stiffness aren't simply part of aging. They're often signs that something deeper is happening, and if addressed in time, they don't have to become permanent. Today, we're going to have an honest, gentle conversation about how you can protect your bones and joints, naturally reduce inflammation, and continue moving with confidence, even as the years pass. Most people don't realize this, but your bones are living tissue. Just like your skin heals when cut, your bones are constantly repairing and renewing themselves. However, after the age of 35, that process slows down. Your body starts to lose calcium faster than it can replace it. And if your diet is low in key minerals or you live a sedentary lifestyle, your bones become more porous and fragile, a condition known as osteoporosis. What's even more concerning is that osteoporosis is often called the silent thief. It doesn't hurt in the beginning. There are no obvious symptoms. But over time, it quietly robs your bones of strength, until one day, a small fall leads to a fracture that takes months to heal. Or worse, a simple movement causes back pain that never fully goes away. But it's not just bones. Our joints, the places where our bones meet, are cushioned by cartilage, a smooth, rubbery material that prevents bone-on-bone friction. As we age, cartilage can wear down. When it does, our joints become stiff, inflamed, and painful. Walking, climbing stairs, or carrying groceries starts to feel harder. And if you're like many Vietnamese elders who used to work hard physically in their youth, decades of wear and tear can show up suddenly in the form of arthritis or chronic joint discomfort. But here's the good news. Decline is not destiny. Science now shows that with the right nutrition, habits, and supplements, we can dramatically slow, or even reverse, bone and joint deterioration. And no, it doesn't require expensive medications or complex routines. In fact, the most powerful solutions often come from everyday foods, teas, and gentle movement. Let's first talk about what weakens your bones without you even noticing. Many of us grew up drinking sodas or eating salty foods as treats. But what we didn't know is that soft drinks, especially colas, contain phosphoric acid, an ingredient that interferes with your body's ability to absorb calcium. Over time, this leads to calcium being pulled out of your bones, leaving them thinner and weaker. Similarly, consuming too much salt causes your kidneys to flush out calcium through urine. That means the more salty snacks, instant noodles, or preserved foods you eat, the more calcium you lose, whether or not you're taking supplements. And let's not forget sugar. Refined sugar is more than just a source of empty calories. It triggers inflammation throughout the body, including in the joints. That's why people who eat too many sweets often experience joint swelling or pain. Lastly, there's alcohol. Even a small daily drink may seem harmless, but alcohol affects how your body metabolizes vitamin D, a nutrient crucial for calcium absorption. It also dehydrates your joints and increases the breakdown of cartilage over time. So the question becomes, if these common foods harm our bones and joints, what should we eat instead? Thankfully, nature has provided us with incredible options. Foods that not only strengthen bones, but also soothe and repair joint tissue. Leafy greens like kale, spinach, and bok choy are rich in calcium and magnesium, both essential for bone density. Fatty fish like salmon and sardines bring in omega-3 fatty acids and natural vitamin D nutrients that reduce inflammation and help your body use calcium effectively. Seeds like flaxseed and chia are tiny but powerful, filled with anti-inflammatory compounds and plant-based omega-3s that nourish the joints. Almonds are another great choice, providing a perfect balance of protein, magnesium, and calcium in one simple snack. And let's not forget turmeric, a bright yellow spice common in many Asian dishes. It contains curcumin, a natural anti-inflammatory that's been shown to reduce joint pain and stiffness, especially in people with arthritis. Now you might be wondering, what about milk? For years, we were taught that milk was the best source of calcium. And while it does contain calcium, research now shows that drinking large amounts of cow's milk may not offer the bone protection we once believed. Some studies even suggest it may increase acidity in the body, prompting the body to pull calcium from the bones to neutralize it. That doesn't mean you need to stop drinking milk entirely, but it does mean it shouldn't be your only source of calcium. There are now many plant-based alternatives like fortified soy milk, almond milk, and oat milk. These are often easier to digest and just as rich in bone-supporting nutrients. Other calcium-rich options include tofu, sesame seeds, and dark green vegetables, foods that have been staples in traditional Vietnamese diets for centuries. And while we're on the topic of tradition, let's talk about herbal teas. In Vietnamese culture, teas have long been used not just for hydration, but for healing. Ginger tea, for example, contains gingerol, an anti-inflammatory compound that reduces pain and swelling. Horsetail tea is rich in silica, a mineral that supports bone regeneration. Green tea is loaded with antioxidants that protect cartilage. Chamomile tea calms the nervous system and relaxes tight muscles, while cinnamon tea boosts circulation, bringing more nutrients to your joints. These aren't just soothing drinks, they're daily tools for long-term mobility. Finally, we must talk about movement. Your bones and joints thrive on gentle, consistent motion. Walking, stretching, tai chi, yoga, and even swimming all help maintain flexibility, improve balance, and stimulate bone growth. And you don't need to do hours of exercise. Just 20 to 30 minutes a day can make a dramatic difference in how your body feels. If you've ever seen an older person in your neighborhood who walks every morning and still moves gracefully into their 70s or 80s, know that this is not luck. It's the result of intentional care, simple habits repeated day after day. So if you're over 50 and you've started to notice that your knees creak, your hips feel stiff, or your back aches more than before, don't ignore it. Your body is speaking to you, and today you've taken the first step to listening. Because now you know bone and joint health isn't just about age. It's about the choices you make, the foods you eat, the way you move, the way you rest, and how you take care of the one body that will carry you through all the years to come. Let's begin this journey together, one step, one breath, one bite at a time. SEO RPM keywords used: bone health after 50, joint pain relief, osteoporosis prevention, calcium absorption, natural anti-inflammatory, best foods for bones, Vietnamese over 50 health. You know, sometimes aging doesn't feel like a loud alarm bell. It doesn't always show up with sudden pain or dramatic changes. Instead, it creeps in gently, almost silently. You wake up one day and notice it's a little harder to get out of bed. Another day, you go to carry your usual grocery bag and feel a twinge in your wrist. Maybe your knees creak a bit when you climb stairs, or you start feeling unsteady when walking across a wet tile floor. These little things, which we often brush off, are your body's quiet way of saying, "Please, take care of me." Now, I want to reassure you, these signs are not your fault. They're part of a natural process that begins earlier than most people think. Many believe bone loss starts after retirement or once you've hit your 60s. But the truth is, our bones begin to lose density and strength as early as age 35. Yes, 35. From that point on, the process of bone renewal, the cycle where your body breaks down old bone and builds new bone, starts to slow down. If we don't provide our body with the right nutrients and lifestyle support, this gradual loss accumulates over time and eventually shows up as weakness, pain, and sometimes even fractures. You see, bones are not just hard, dry structures. They're living tissues, constantly being rebuilt in a delicate balance between loss and renewal. In our younger years, this process is rapid and efficient. We build more bone than we lose. But as we age, especially after menopause for women and around the age of 60 for men, that balance shifts. Bone loss begins to outpace bone formation. This leads to reduced bone density, a condition we know as osteopenia or, in more advanced cases, osteoporosis. And what's truly worrying is that you can lose up to 20% of your bone mass before symptoms even begin. That's why osteoporosis is often called the silent disease. But bones are only half the story. Let's talk about your joints. The remarkable spaces between your bones that let you walk, bend, dance, and embrace your grandchildren. Inside your joints is a soft cushion called cartilage. It acts like a shock absorber, allowing your bones to glide smoothly against one another. But as you get older, cartilage becomes thinner and less elastic. At the same time, the fluid inside your joints, the synovial fluid, starts to dry up. This combination can make your joints stiff, swollen, and painful. It's why many older adults find it hard to squat, kneel, or even open a jar. Now, some of this change is natural, but there are also silent enemies we don't always recognize, like chronic inflammation, poor nutrition, and lack of movement. These factors quietly damage your joints and bones over the years. For example, long periods of sitting without regular movement reduce blood flow to your bones and joints. An unbalanced diet without enough vitamin D, calcium, or magnesium makes it harder for your body to rebuild and maintain bone tissue. And if you've had a past injury, say a twisted ankle or a broken wrist, those old areas are often the first to show wear and tear as you age. One of my patients, a kind-hearted woman named Mai, shared something with me recently. She's 62 and told me that for years, she believed her joint pain was just something she had to accept as part of aging. She would wake up each morning with stiff fingers and sore knees. Climbing stairs felt like hiking a mountain. She didn't complain. She thought this was just her new reality. But once we looked at her diet, added in specific anti-inflammatory foods, gave her the right supplements, and encouraged a few light stretches each day, her pain slowly began to ease. Within 3 months, she could squat again. She even started joining her neighbors for early morning walks. Her secret wasn't expensive treatments, it was knowledge and small, consistent changes. What I want you to take away from this, dear viewer, is simple: you have more control than you think. Aging does not mean losing your mobility. Weak bones and sore joints are not inevitable. When we understand how aging works and respond with care, nutrition, movement, and mindfulness, we can stay strong and independent for decades to come. Let's also not forget how lifestyle plays into this. In Vietnam and many parts of the world, traditional diets once centered on vegetables, fermented foods, small portions of meat, and naturally sourced calcium from seeds and greens. But as our lives become more modern, fast food, sugary drinks, and sedentary habits have become more common. These changes, unfortunately, accelerate the weakening of our skeletal system. Another critical point is that bone and joint health doesn't just affect your comfort, it affects your safety. Weak bones increase the risk of fractures from even minor falls, and damaged joints make you move less, which in turn reduces muscle strength and balance, further raising your risk of injury. It's a dangerous cycle, but it's one we can break. So in this video, part by part, I'll guide you through the key foods to avoid and embrace, the best drinks and teas to reduce inflammation, the supplements that actually work, and the exercises that gently strengthen your body without pain. And I'll do it the way I would speak to my own sibling or closest friend. Gently, clearly, and with your well-being in mind. No rush, no fear, just simple, thoughtful guidance. Remember, your bones and joints are not just structures, they are your body's foundation. They carry you through your daily life, hold you upright with dignity, and allow you to stay connected to the world around you. You've used them to serve others for decades. Now, it's time to give back to them with care and understanding. Let's begin this journey together. Keywords in Part 1. Bone health after 50, joint pain relief, silent osteoporosis signs, cartilage loss, aging, and mobility. When we hear the word osteoporosis, most people assume it's just something that happens in old age, like wrinkles or gray hair. But that's only part of the truth. What many don't realize is that osteoporosis begins long before the symptoms appear. It's a condition that develops silently over years, often decades, and when the signs finally show up, it's usually because the bones have already lost a significant amount of strength. By that point, a simple fall, a bump into the corner of a table, or even just twisting the wrong way can result in a painful fracture. And once that happens, recovery becomes longer, harder, and more complicated. Let me tell you about a man I treated named Mr. Vin. He's a retired school principal, 68 years old, very disciplined, still sharp in his thinking. One day, he was getting something from the top shelf in his kitchen when he slipped from the stool. It wasn't a major fall. In his words, "Twachi na ne thoi," but he fractured his hip. That injury set off a long chain of challenges. Hospital stay, limited mobility, loss of appetite, and the emotional stress of no longer being independent. This is what osteoporosis can do. Silently weaken bones to the point where even normal daily activities become risky. So what exactly is osteoporosis? It's a condition in which bones lose density and mass, becoming more porous, fragile, and likely to break. Imagine a sponge with lots of holes. That's what bones with osteoporosis look like under a microscope. It mainly affects the hips, spine, and wrists, and it doesn't discriminate. Both men and women can get it. However, women after menopause are particularly at risk due to the drop in estrogen, a hormone that plays a key role in maintaining bone density. But here's where it gets interesting. Osteoporosis isn't just caused by aging or genetics. It's also heavily influenced by daily habits, what you eat, how much you move, how much sunlight you get, whether you smoke or drink, and how well your body absorbs key nutrients like calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D. Even stress levels and poor sleep quality can affect how your body rebuilds bone tissue. It's not just about time, it's about choices. In Vietnam and other Asian countries, many people have diets that are naturally lower in calcium and vitamin D, especially if they avoid dairy or don't get enough sunlight. Combine that with limited physical activity, especially in retirement years, and the risk of osteoporosis increases significantly. According to the International Osteoporosis Foundation, more than 200 million people worldwide suffer from this condition, and in Asia, the numbers are rising rapidly due to changing lifestyles. What worries me most is that so many of us don't know we have it until it's too late. That's why screening is so important. A bone density scan, known as a DEXA scan, is a simple, painless test that can tell you how strong your bones are. Unfortunately, most people never get tested unless they've already suffered a fracture. And even then, some just chalk it up to bad luck or old bones without realizing it was preventable. But it's not all bad news. Once we understand how osteoporosis works, we can start to take small but powerful steps to prevent or slow it down. And it begins with the right mindset. Instead of seeing this condition as an inevitable curse of aging, think of it as a signal, a reminder from your body to nourish, move, and protect it. After all, our bones are our support system, quite literally. They carry our weight, protect our organs, and enable every movement we make. We owe them the care they've quietly provided us all our lives. Let's talk about prevention. The most basic step is to ensure your body gets enough calcium. But calcium alone isn't enough. Your body also needs vitamin D to absorb that calcium, and magnesium to help deposit it properly into the bones. Without these two partners, calcium often passes through the body and used, or worse, ends up in the wrong places like arteries or joints, leading to other health issues. Weight-bearing exercises like walking, light jogging, tai chi, or stair climbing are incredibly effective at signaling your bones to stay strong. Why? Because bones respond to stress. When you walk or move, your bones sense that they're needed and continue the rebuilding process. Sitting for long hours every day, watching TV, scrolling on the phone, or working on a computer sends the opposite message, that the bones are not needed. Over time, they weaken. That's why 30 minutes of movement a day is like a daily vitamin for your bones. There's also the emotional aspect. Many people feel embarrassed or afraid to talk about their bone health, especially in cultures where showing weakness is seen as a sign of aging or dependency. But please, don't suffer in silence. If you feel shorter, if your back is hunched, if you've lost balance recently, or if you have chronic back pain, these are warning signs. Tell your family. Visit your doctor. Have a scan if possible. Catching it early makes all the difference. Now, let me tell you a quick story that always brings a smile to my face. Mrs. Hung, a lovely 70-year-old woman from Dalat, used to think bone health was only for old ladies with canes. She laughed at the idea of taking supplements or doing exercises. Then one day, she fell while watering her plants and fractured a rib. The pain made her reconsider. We talked, made small adjustments to her meals, added walking and stretching, and introduced a few herbal teas known for reducing inflammation. A year later, not only had her bones improved on her scan, but she also had more energy, better sleep, and even picked up dancing again with her senior group. That's the power of awareness. Remember, osteoporosis may be silent, but you don't have to be. By understanding the truth about this condition and taking daily action, through proper nutrition, movement, and screening, you're giving your body the strength it deserves. You're not just protecting your bones, you're protecting your freedom. Keywords in Part 2: osteoporosis prevention, bone density loss, vitamin D and calcium, silent fractures, DEXA scan, aging bones. Let me take you back to a simple truth. Calcium is the most abundant mineral in your body, and nearly 99% of it is stored right in your bones and teeth. That's why we associate it so closely with bone health. But what happens when your body starts to run low on calcium, especially after age 35? Why does this essential mineral slowly vanish, even if you think you're eating healthy? This is a story that too many people don't understand until it's too late. You see, in your younger years, your bones act like a calcium savings account. Every time you drink a glass of milk, eat leafy greens, or take in calcium from any source, your body stores a portion in your bones for future use. During your 20s and early 30s, this account is full and growing. That's when your bones are at their peak density. But starting around age 35, the balance starts to shift. Your body begins to withdraw more calcium than it deposits. This doesn't happen all at once. It's a slow, quiet process. You don't feel it. You don't see it. But day by day, your calcium account starts to run low. Why does this happen? There are several reasons, and many of them are tied to lifestyle, nutrition, and even hormonal changes. One major reason is the natural decline in hormones like estrogen and testosterone, both of which help regulate calcium absorption and bone maintenance. For women especially, the drop in estrogen after menopause accelerates bone loss dramatically. But even before menopause, small hormonal changes can affect how well your bones hold on to calcium. The second factor is dietary habits. In modern diets, especially in fast-paced urban life, we often consume more processed foods, salty snacks, sugary drinks, and caffeine. What do these have in common? They either reduce calcium absorption or increase calcium excretion. For example, too much salt in your diet causes your kidneys to release more calcium through urine. That means even if you're taking a calcium supplement, your body might be flushing it out before it has a chance to do its job. Caffeine and soft drinks are another culprit. Many popular sodas contain phosphoric acid, which binds to calcium in the digestive tract and prevents it from being absorbed. Meanwhile, caffeine increases calcium loss through urine as well. When you combine these habits over years, coffee in the morning, soda in the afternoon, salty meals at dinner, it adds up to a steady leak from your calcium bank. There's also another challenge: vitamin D deficiency. Your body can't absorb calcium properly without vitamin D. Think of vitamin D as the key that unlocks the door, allowing calcium to enter your bloodstream and reach your bones. Without enough vitamin D, that door stays closed. And where do we get most of our vitamin D? From sunlight. But here's the problem. Many people, especially older adults, spend less time outdoors. They avoid the midday sun, wear long sleeves, or live in areas where sunlight is weak or blocked by pollution. In Vietnam, this is especially true during rainy seasons or for elderly people living in apartments. Even if you eat enough calcium, without vitamin D, it's like trying to pour water into a bottle with the cap still on. It simply doesn't go in. Absorption is only half the story. Let's talk about where calcium goes when your body needs it but doesn't get it from your diet. Your body is incredibly intelligent. If it senses a lack of calcium in your bloodstream, it doesn't just shut down. Instead, it starts withdrawing calcium from your bones, the richest source available. Your bones get sacrificed to meet the needs of your muscles, nerves, and heart. That's because calcium is essential for more than just structure. It helps regulate heartbeat, blood clotting, and nerve function. So when your diet falls short, your body compensates by slowly robbing your skeleton. I'll share a real story that moved me deeply. Mr. Tuan, a 57-year-old farmer from the Mekong Delta, had always been strong. He believed in eating natural, homegrown food and working with his hands. But he never paid much attention to calcium. After all, he wasn't a fan of milk, and he didn't like medicine of any kind. He came to see me after breaking his wrist while harvesting. He couldn't believe that such a small fall caused such damage. When we tested his bone density, the results shocked him: osteopenia bordering on osteoporosis. Bakasai, Tuan Wang Day du ma sa lai the nai? He asked. When I reviewed his diet, it lacked dairy, dark leafy greens, fortified foods, and sunlight exposure. He simply wasn't absorbing enough calcium, and what little he had was being used elsewhere. We worked together on a plan: more greens, fortified tofu, sun exposure, and vitamin D supplements. A year later, his follow-up scan showed marked improvement. More importantly, his confidence returned. This story is not unique. It's the reality for thousands of people over 50, especially in Asian populations where lactose intolerance is common and dairy isn't regularly consumed. The good news is, calcium doesn't have to come from milk alone. Dark leafy greens like kale, bok choy, and mustard greens are rich in bioavailable calcium. So are sesame seeds, almonds, tofu, and sardines. Fortified plant-based milks, like soy or almond milk, offer excellent alternatives, especially when combined with vitamin D. Another important mineral that supports calcium is magnesium. Magnesium helps shuttle calcium into your bones and keeps it from settling in the wrong places like blood vessels or soft tissues. Without enough magnesium, calcium can end up doing more harm than good. That's why calcium supplements that also contain magnesium, and even vitamin K2, are often more effective and safer in the long run. And finally, let's not forget one of the most overlooked enemies of calcium: stress. Chronic stress raises cortisol levels, a hormone that breaks down bone tissue over time. It also interferes with how your body uses calcium. That's why part of protecting your bones isn't just about food and supplements. It's about rest, relaxation, and emotional balance. Deep breathing, walking in nature, prayer, meditation, or simply enjoying a cup of herbal tea with a friend. These are powerful medicines too. So if you've ever wondered why your bones might be getting weaker despite your best efforts, remember, after 35, calcium doesn't just stay put. Your body needs constant reminders, through food, sunshine, movement, and calm, to keep that mineral where it belongs. And the earlier you act, the stronger your bones will remain. Keywords in Part 3: calcium absorption after 35, bone loss prevention, vitamin D deficiency, magnesium and bones, calcium-rich foods, lifestyle, and bone health. If I told you there are foods that silently chip away at your bone strength each day, would you believe me? Most people are surprised to learn that it's not just what we don't eat that weakens our bones, but also what we eat too much of. And the most dangerous foods are often the most common, showing up in everyday meals, snacks, or drinks. These aren't exotic ingredients. They're simple things we grow up with and even consider harmless. But when consumed regularly, they quietly pull calcium from our bones, inflame our joints, and make us more vulnerable to fractures as we age. Let's start with one of the biggest culprits: soft drinks, especially colas. These fizzy beverages may seem refreshing on a hot day, but they contain a hidden danger: phosphoric acid. This chemical gives soda its tangy taste and longer shelf life, but it also disrupts the calcium balance in your body. When you consume phosphoric acid in high amounts, it causes your body to pull calcium from your bones to neutralize it. Even if you're taking calcium supplements or eating calcium-rich foods, sodas can undo all that effort. What's worse, most sodas contain caffeine, which acts as a diuretic, flushing calcium out of your system through your urine. Take, for example, a retired accountant named Mr. Kwong, 61 years old. Every afternoon, he enjoyed a cold cola while watching TV, a habit he'd kept for years. But after he fractured his ankle from a minor slip in the bathroom, his bone scan revealed significant loss in bone density. When I asked about his diet, he replied, "I don't smoke or drink alcohol. I just enjoy my soda." That one daily habit was costing him more than he realized. After cutting back on sodas, replacing them with herbal teas and water, and adjusting his calcium intake, his bone scans slowly improved. The second silent enemy is excess salt. Vietnamese cuisine, like many others, uses a lot of salty condiments: fish sauce, soy sauce, pickled vegetables. While these add flavor, they also add high amounts of sodium. When sodium levels in the blood rise, the kidneys respond by getting rid of the excess along with calcium. This process leads to calcium being flushed out in the urine, reducing the amount available to strengthen your bones. Over time, this calcium loss builds up, making your bones brittle. This doesn't mean you have to stop using fish sauce altogether, but moderation is key. Try diluting sauces with lime juice or herbs, switching to low-sodium versions, and avoiding processed foods like instant noodles, canned meats, or chips, which are all high in salt. A good rule of thumb: if it tastes overly salty, it's probably pulling calcium from your bones. The third harmful food is refined sugar. It may sound dramatic, but sugar is a slow poison, not just for your weight or blood sugar levels, but also for your bone and joint health. When you consume sugar, it causes a spike in blood glucose levels, which leads to inflammation throughout the body, including your joints. Inflammation is a key driver of cartilage damage and joint stiffness. Plus, sugar interferes with calcium absorption and depletes magnesium, another mineral essential for strong bones. Think about it. Many elderly people love small treats: sweet milk coffee, bonbon, candy, condensed milk in their tea. These aren't harmful in tiny amounts, but when sugar sneaks into breakfast, snacks, desserts, and drinks, the body becomes overwhelmed. Instead, try switching to natural sugars from fruits like berries or stevia-based sweeteners. And when you do indulge, balance it out with foods that lower inflammation like turmeric, ginger, and green leafy vegetables. The fourth and perhaps most socially accepted danger is alcohol. Whether it's beer at a family gathering or a nightly shot of rice wine, alcohol in excess interferes with almost every step of calcium metabolism. It disrupts how your body activates vitamin D, which is crucial for calcium absorption. It also affects liver function, which plays a role in bone-regulating hormones, and reduces your body's ability to build new bone tissue. Over time, alcohol thins your bones, dehydrates your joints, and worsens inflammation. Now, I'm not saying you must give up alcohol completely, unless you have a medical reason to do so. But if you're over 50 and drink daily, it's time to reconsider. The occasional glass of red wine is fine, but drinking regularly or heavily is one of the fastest ways to accelerate osteoporosis and joint pain. Even reducing alcohol intake to just once a week can make a noticeable difference in your energy, sleep, and joint mobility. Let me share a story that still sits heavy in my heart. Mrs. Fong, a 65-year-old retired teacher, came to see me with chronic knee pain. She didn't drink soda, avoided sugar, and exercised daily. But she confessed that she and her husband enjoyed sharing 2 cans of beer every evening. It was their way of winding down. When I explained how alcohol was impacting her vitamin D levels and bone metabolism, she was shocked. "But it's just 2 small cans," she said. We made a plan to cut down gradually and recheck her joint health in 6 months. The results were encouraging. Not only had her pain lessened, but her vitamin D levels had improved without any extra supplements. In truth, the foods that harm your bones the most are rarely eaten with bad intentions. They're comfort foods. They're habits built over decades. But once we understand how they slowly chip away at our health, we can make wiser choices. You don't need to live in fear or become rigid with your meals. You just need balance, awareness, and consistency. Here's a tip I give to all my patients. For every bone-depleting food you consume, like a salty dish or a sugary drink, balance it with 2 bone-building choices, such as a handful of almonds, a serving of dark leafy greens, or a calcium-rich soup. These small swaps accumulate into long-term protection. Your body will thank you. In the next section, we'll take a closer look at how some of these very ingredients, like sugar and salt, don't just weaken bones but also silently inflame the joints. Understanding this link can help you reduce stiffness, pain, and even reverse early damage. Keywords in Part 4. Foods that weaken bones, soft drinks and bone loss, calcium and sodium, sugar, joint pain, alcohol, and osteoporosis. Now that we've talked about how certain foods steal calcium from your bones, let's take a closer look at something just as important, but often overlooked: how these same foods inflame and damage your joints. You see, strong bones are only part of the equation. Your joints, the connections where bones meet, are equally important for mobility, balance, and freedom from pain. And nothing attacks your joints more quietly or more consistently than 2 things we use every day: sugar and salt. Let's begin with sugar. It's comforting, familiar, and deeply embedded in our lives. A sweet tea after lunch, condensed milk in morning coffee, or a slice of cake during family gatherings, all are common habits, especially for older Vietnamese adults. But here's what sugar does that we don't see. When consumed in excess, sugar causes spikes in your blood glucose levels. Over time, this leads to a condition called low-grade chronic inflammation, which silently spreads throughout your body. It's like a slow-burning fire that damages tissues little by little. And one of its favorite targets is your joints. Inflammation from sugar directly affects the cartilage in your joints, the soft, flexible tissue that cushions your bones. When cartilage becomes inflamed, it loses its smoothness and begins to break down. You may feel stiffness when waking up, pain when bending your knees, or discomfort after walking for a while. Inflammation also reduces the amount of synovial fluid, the slippery liquid that keeps your joints moving easily. Without this lubrication, every step, every reach, and every twist becomes harder and more painful. One of my patients, Ms. Duyan, aged 63, had persistent swelling in her fingers. She loved fruit smoothies and sweet soy milk, thinking they were healthy. But when we reviewed her daily sugar intake, it was much higher than recommended, even though she didn't eat candy or cake. Once she cut her sugar by half and added more anti-inflammatory foods like leafy greens, flax seeds, and turmeric, her symptoms improved in less than 2 months. "I didn't realize sugar was hiding in so many places," she said with surprise. And she was right, sugar sneaks in through sauces, drinks, bread, even so-called diet foods. In conclusion, sugar and salt may seem small and harmless, but their impact on joint health, inflammation, and bone strength is significant, especially for those of us over 50. By understanding their effects, making informed choices, and supporting our bodies with natural anti-inflammatory foods, we can dramatically improve our mobility, reduce pain, and live with greater ease. In the next part, we'll dive into something just as alarming: how alcohol, even in small amounts, disrupts vitamin D and weakens both bones and joints. It may be time to rethink those evening drinks. Keywords in Part 5: sugar, joint inflammation, salt and joint pain, foods that inflame joints, reduce swelling naturally, anti-inflammatory foods, Vietnamese over 50 joint care. Let's have a gentle but honest conversation about something many people enjoy but rarely connect with their bone or joint health: alcohol. Whether it's a casual glass of wine, a cold beer with friends, or a small shot of rice wine after dinner, drinking is deeply woven into many social traditions, especially among older adults in Vietnam and across the world. But few people realize that even moderate alcohol consumption can quietly weaken bones, dry out joints, and interfere with the nutrients your body needs to stay mobile and pain-free. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't a warning meant to create fear or guilt. My job as your guide on this health journey is to give you clarity. And the truth is, alcohol, especially when consumed regularly, disrupts multiple processes that keep your joints flexible and your bones strong. Let's start with vitamin D, one of the most important nutrients your body needs to absorb calcium. Without vitamin D, even the best diet or most expensive supplement won't help your bones. Think of vitamin D as a gatekeeper that allows calcium to enter your bloodstream and reach your bones. But alcohol blocks the activation of vitamin D in your liver. So while your body might technically have some vitamin D stored, alcohol keeps it locked in an inactive form, unable to support bone metabolism. That means if you're drinking alcohol regularly, even in small amounts, your bones may be starved for calcium without you even knowing it. Over time, this leads to faster bone loss, increased risk of osteoporosis, and slower healing if you get injured. But the impact doesn't stop there. Alcohol also affects your joint health in several hidden ways. First, it dehydrates your body, including the soft tissues around your joints. Synovial fluid, which keeps your joints lubricated and moving smoothly, depends on good hydration. When your body is dehydrated, this fluid becomes more scarce or thickened, making your joints feel stiff and creaky. Second, alcohol increases systemic inflammation. Even if you don't drink heavily, alcohol can trigger the release of inflammatory markers in your body, which directly attack the cartilage in your joints. Inflammation is at the root of many joint problems, especially arthritis, and alcohol adds fuel to that fire. Some people notice this effect the next morning after drinking: swollen fingers, stiff knees, or aching wrists. These are early signs that your joints are struggling. Third, alcohol affects your liver and hormonal balance, both of which are closely connected to bone regeneration. Your liver helps produce and regulate hormones like estrogen and testosterone, which are essential for maintaining bone density. Chronic alcohol use suppresses these hormones, accelerating bone thinning. In women, this effect can be even more dramatic, especially after menopause. I remember a case from a few years ago. Mr. Long, a 64-year-old retired construction worker, came to my clinic with shoulder pain and fatigue. He didn't smoke, exercised daily, and considered himself mostly healthy. But when we reviewed his habits, he admitted he drank 2 beers every evening, nothing excessive, but consistent. His bone scan showed early signs of osteoporosis, and his vitamin D levels were low despite being in the sun daily. After we reduced his alcohol to once per week and introduced joint-supporting foods and supplements, his pain improved and his vitamin D normalized. Toi siu tuong chi bia ne ti kong sa, he said. That's the common misunderstanding. Light or moderate drinking may not seem harmful, but over time, it adds up. For those already dealing with arthritis or other joint conditions, alcohol can make things worse. It increases uric acid, which may trigger gout flare-ups. It also interferes with pain medications or supplements, reducing their effectiveness. For example, if you're taking glucosamine or collagen for joint repair, regular alcohol use may slow down the results. Now, does this mean you have to completely avoid alcohol forever? Not necessarily. The key is to be strategic and mindful. One small glass of red wine on special occasions, especially when paired with a healthy meal, likely won't do much harm. In fact, red wine in moderation has some antioxidants that can support heart health. But the real issue arises with frequency and quantity. Drinking every evening, even just 1 or 2 beers, gradually disrupts the entire ecosystem of nutrients, hormones, and hydration that keeps your bones and joints functioning. If you're wondering what's considered safe drinking for bone health, most health authorities recommend no more than 1 standard drink per day for women and 2 for men, and even less if you're already at risk for osteoporosis or joint disease. A standard drink is roughly 1 can of beer, a small glass of wine, or a shot of spirits. But again, the goal isn't just to count drinks, it's to listen to your body. Here are a few signs that alcohol may already be affecting your joints. Waking up with joint stiffness after drinking. Needing more rest days between physical activity. Slower recovery after minor falls or injuries. New or worsening back, hip, or knee discomfort. Elevated liver enzymes on a routine blood test. If you recognize any of these signs, consider giving your body a break. Replace your usual drink with a calming herbal tea, like ginger, chamomile, or cinnamon. These not only hydrate, but also reduce inflammation and support detoxification. Try mocktails made with sparkling water, lime, and fresh herbs. These small swaps can give your joints a rest and help rebalance your body. And if reducing alcohol feels difficult, talk to a doctor or loved one. You don't have to do it alone. In fact, many people find that once they reduce their intake, they sleep better, think more clearly, and move more freely. Let me end with a reminder. Alcohol may be socially accepted, but your joints and bones don't care about tradition. They care about nourishment, hydration, and recovery. The occasional toast with friends is a joy of life. But daily, habitual drinking, especially after 50, gradually takes away your strength, balance, and independence. In the next part, we'll shift gears. Now that you know what weakens your bones and joints, it's time to discover the foods that rebuild them, starting with 5 powerful natural foods that protect, repair, and support your skeletal system every single day. Keywords in Part 6: alcohol and joint pain, vitamin D interference, bone loss from drinking, dehydration in joints, inflammation and alcohol, osteoarthritis after 60. Now that we've uncovered the foods and habits that quietly damage your bones and joints, it's time to turn the page and talk about healing, real, natural healing that comes not from pills or complex treatments, but from your own kitchen. I want to introduce you to 5 powerful, everyday foods that I personally recommend to my patients over 50. These foods don't just slow bone loss. They actively help rebuild bone mass, protect cartilage, and reduce inflammation. If you begin to include them regularly in your meals, you're giving your body the tools it needs to stay strong, balanced, and pain-free as you age. Let's start with one of the best gifts nature has given us: dark leafy greens. Vegetables like kale, collard greens, water spinach, ramyuong, mustard greens, and bok choy are rich in calcium, magnesium, and vitamin K1, 3 essential nutrients for bone formation and density. These minerals work together to not only support the structure of your bones, but also help regulate the enzymes that manage calcium absorption. Unlike dairy, leafy greens are alkaline, meaning they reduce acidity in the body and help maintain a healthy pH. Another key factor for protecting bone strength. I had a patient named Mr. Bao, a retired carpenter, who believed only milk could provide calcium. When I encouraged him to add stir-fried greens and fresh green smoothies into his diet, he was skeptical. But after 3 months, not only did his digestion improve, his lab results showed a rise in calcium levels without any dairy. His joint stiffness reduced, and his energy returned. Twakong Ngo Rouse and Lyman Nuve, he laughed. Next on the list is fatty fish, specifically salmon, mackerel, sardines, and tuna. These fish are packed with vitamin D and omega-3 fatty acids, which are essential for bone metabolism and joint comfort. Vitamin D helps the body absorb calcium, while omega-3s reduce inflammation that can wear down joint cartilage. For Vietnamese adults who may not get regular sun exposure, eating fatty fish twice a week is one of the most effective natural strategies to support both bone and joint health. Sardines are especially beneficial because they contain not just vitamin D and omega-3s, but also soft, edible bones that are a great source of bioavailable calcium. Many people overlook sardines because of their strong flavor, but when prepared with tomatoes, herbs, or lemongrass, they become both delicious and deeply nourishing. For those who don't enjoy fish, omega-3 supplements made from algae or fish oil are excellent alternatives. Third, let's talk about flax seeds. Though small in size, flax seeds are rich in lignans and plant-based omega-3s, ALA, which support joint tissue repair and reduce chronic inflammation. Flax seeds also contain fiber, which improves gut health, and believe it or not, your gut plays a major role in how well your body absorbs minerals like calcium and magnesium. A healthy gut means better nutrient absorption, and better absorption means stronger bones. The best way to consume flax seeds is ground. This makes the nutrients easier for your body to digest. You can sprinkle ground flax on porridge, mix it into smoothies, or add it to rice dishes. Just 1 tablespoon a day can provide meaningful anti-inflammatory support. I've had many patients who, after adding flax and chia seeds into their meals, noticed improvements not only in joint stiffness but also in digestion and skin health. Fourth, we have almonds. Almonds are a nutritional powerhouse. They're packed with calcium, magnesium, protein, and healthy fats, all of which support bone tissue and cartilage repair. What makes almonds especially valuable is their magnesium to calcium ratio, which helps your body use calcium efficiently. Many people consume calcium but forget that without enough magnesium, calcium can't enter your bones effectively. It ends up circulating in the bloodstream or accumulating in soft tissues. A handful of almonds, about 10 to 15, per day is enough to provide benefits. You can eat them raw, roasted, without added salt, or soaked overnight to improve digestibility. In Vietnamese kitchens, almond milk is becoming more common and can be a fantastic plant-based substitute for cow's milk, especially for those who are lactose intolerant. And finally, we arrive at turmeric, known in Vietnamese as nê. This vibrant yellow spice has been used for centuries in both Eastern and Western medicine for its healing properties. The active compound in turmeric, curcumin, is a powerful anti-inflammatory agent. It helps reduce joint swelling, relieve stiffness, and protect cartilage from degradation. Curcumin works by blocking inflammatory pathways in the body, similar to how some anti-inflammatory drugs work, but without the side effects. It also supports liver function and improves blood circulation, 2 important factors for healthy aging. The key is consistency and proper absorption. Curcumin is best absorbed when paired with a little black pepper and a source of fat, like olive oil or coconut milk. Incorporating turmeric into your meals is easy. Add it to soups, stews, marinades, or golden milk, made from turmeric, almond milk, honey, and a pinch of black pepper. Many of my patients drink a warm cup of turmeric milk before bed and say they sleep better and wake up with less stiffness. It's a simple ritual with profound benefits. So to summarize, here are your 5 everyday superfoods for bone and joint health. Leafy greens for calcium and vitamin K. Fatty fish for vitamin D and omega-3s. Flax seeds for anti-inflammatory lignans and joint repair. Almonds for protein, calcium, and magnesium. Turmeric for powerful natural inflammation relief. Together, these foods create a protective shield for your bones and joints. They don't work overnight, but with daily use, they slowly rebuild what time has worn down. These are not trends. They are time-tested, science-supported gifts from nature that offer long-term support for mobility, balance, and independence. In the next section, we'll take a closer look at 2 of these incredible allies, turmeric and flaxseed, and explore why they deserve a place in your kitchen every single day. Keywords in Part 7. Foods for strong bones, omega-3 for joints, calcium from greens, turmeric anti-inflammatory, flaxseed bone support, magnesium and calcium absorption. As we continue this journey into building strong bones and supple joints, let's zoom in on 2 of the most underrated yet powerful allies in your kitchen: turmeric and flaxseed. These humble ingredients don't wear flashy labels or promise overnight miracles. But what they offer is far better natural, gentle, long-term relief from joint stiffness, inflammation, and the silent wear and tear that aging brings to your bones and cartilage. Let's begin with turmeric, or nay, as it's called in Vietnamese homes. This vibrant yellow root has been used for centuries in both cooking and medicine. But only in recent decades has science begun to understand why turmeric works so well, especially for those over 50 struggling with joint pain and inflammation. The key lies in its active compound, curcumin. Curcumin has powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. It helps block certain molecules in the body that trigger inflammation, similar to how ibuprofen or aspirin works, but without the common side effects. For those living with osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, or even chronic back pain, turmeric can be a safe and effective part of your pain management plan. Curcumin also helps protect joint cartilage, slow down its breakdown, and improve mobility. One study published in Phytotherapy Research found that patients who took curcumin extract daily for 8 weeks reported reduced joint pain and improved walking ability, with no negative effects on the stomach or liver. Now, how should you use turmeric effectively? The secret is in how you combine it. Curcumin is fat-soluble, meaning it's absorbed better when taken with healthy fats like olive oil, coconut oil, or nuts. It also benefits from being paired with black pepper, which contains piperine, a compound that boosts curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. One of my favorite bedtime remedies, which I recommend to many elderly patients, is a warm turmeric drink. Mix 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder with a cup of warm almond milk, add a pinch of black pepper, and a drop of honey if needed. This calming drink helps reduce overnight inflammation and even supports deeper sleep. And unlike painkillers, it supports your body rather than working against it. Now let's talk about flaxseed, or hatlan. While it might not be as colorful as turmeric, flaxseed is a quiet powerhouse when it comes to joint lubrication and anti-inflammatory effects. It's rich in alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid that helps reduce inflammation in the joints, similar to the omega-3s found in fatty fish. But that's not all. Flaxseed is also a great source of lignans, which are plant compounds that act as antioxidants and hormone regulators. For postmenopausal women, these lignans may offer additional support in balancing estrogen, a hormone that also plays a role in maintaining bone density. In practical terms, consuming flaxseed daily can help reduce joint swelling, improve range of motion, and even slow cartilage degradation in people with early-stage arthritis. And since flax is also high in fiber, it improves gut health, which is essential for absorbing bone-friendly minerals like calcium and magnesium. There's one important detail though. Flax seeds must be ground before eating. Whole flax seeds often pass through your digestive system without being absorbed. Ground flaxseed, on the other hand, releases its full nutritional value. You can add it to oatmeal, rice porridge, soups, or even sprinkle it over steamed vegetables. Just 1 tablespoon a day can provide a significant boost in anti-inflammatory support. Together, turmeric and flaxseed form a powerful natural duo. One fights inflammation and oxidative stress. The other nourishes joints from within and keeps your bones and tissues flexible. And unlike synthetic medications, they come with no long-term toxicity and can be used consistently over time. Let me share a story from a patient I deeply admire. Mrs. Han, 67, used to struggle with joint pain so severe that she stopped joining her neighbors on their early morning walks. She tried several painkillers, but they upset her stomach and made her feel groggy. We introduced a simple regimen: turmeric tea before bed and ground flaxseed every morning with her soup. Within 2 months, she was walking again, smiling as she passed my clinic window. It's like my joints forgot how old they were, she joked. But turmeric and flaxseed aren't the only natural defenders you should consider. There are a few more worth mentioning here, as they work in harmony with your body. Ginger. Similar to turmeric, ginger contains gingerol, another anti-inflammatory compound. Ginger tea or grated fresh ginger in your meals can help reduce stiffness and ease muscle tension. Chia seeds. Like flax, chia is rich in omega-3s and fiber. These tiny seeds help with hydration, as they absorb water and expand in your stomach, keeping joints well lubricated. Pumpkin seeds, rich in zinc, magnesium, and healthy fats, they support both bone density and hormone balance, especially in older men. Olive oil, a heart-healthy fat that also reduces C-reactive protein, CRP, a key marker of inflammation linked to joint pain and swelling. What do these all have in common? They're simple, accessible, and gentle on the body. You don't need expensive supplements or complicated diets. These are foods you can find at your local market, add to your current meals, and enjoy without stress. The most important lesson is this: your body wants to heal. When you remove what inflames it and feed it what strengthens it, you don't just prevent disease, you reverse damage, restore comfort, and reclaim your freedom. Food is not just fuel, it's medicine. And in this stage of life, we need that medicine to be kind, consistent, and nourishing. In the next section, we'll talk about one food that's often controversial when it comes to bone health: milk. You've probably heard that it's great for bones. But is it really? Or could it be doing more harm than good, especially after 60? Let's explore that together. Keywords in Part 8: turmeric for joint pain, flaxseed for inflammation, natural pain relief, anti-inflammatory foods, plant-based omega-3, bone health over 60. For generations, we've been told a simple truth: drink your milk, and your bones will stay strong. This idea has been repeated so often that most of us take it as fact. We tell it to our children, we follow it ourselves, and many older adults continue drinking milk every day because they believe it's the best way to prevent osteoporosis. But what if I told you that after the age of 60, milk may not be as helpful or as harmless as we've been led to believe? Let me explain carefully. It's true that milk contains calcium, protein, and vitamin D nutrients that are essential for building and maintaining bone density. In theory, this makes milk an excellent food for bone health. However, what matters isn't just how much calcium a food contains. It's how well your body can absorb and use that calcium. And that's where the milk story becomes more complex. As we age, our digestive system changes. Many people, especially in Asian populations, develop some level of lactose intolerance. This means their body produces less lactase, the enzyme needed to break down the sugar in milk. As a result, drinking milk can lead to bloating, gas, diarrhea, or general discomfort. When this happens, your body struggles to absorb the calcium in milk effectively. That calcium may simply pass through your system without being used to strengthen your bones. Even more surprising, some studies suggest that high dairy intake is not always associated with lower fracture rates. A large Swedish study published in the BMJ found that women who drank more than 3 glasses of milk per day had a higher risk of fractures and death compared to those who drank less. Researchers believe that the reason may lie in milk's effect on inflammation and oxidative stress, both of which can harm bone and joint health when left unchecked. You see, milk, especially cow's milk, is slightly acid-forming in the body. Some health experts believe that in order to neutralize this acidity, the body may pull calcium from the bones, ironically leading to bone loss over time. While this theory is still debated in scientific circles, it raises a valid concern. Is milk the only or the best source of calcium as we get older? The answer is no. In fact, there are many other sources of calcium that may be gentler on your body, easier to digest, and more supportive of your long-term bone health. These include tofu, especially when made with calcium sulfate, sesame seeds and tahini, almonds and almond milk, dark leafy greens like kale, mustard greens, collard greens, and bok choy, sardines and canned salmon with bones, fortified plant-based milks like soy, oat, or almond milk. What these foods offer is bioavailable calcium, meaning calcium your body can absorb and use efficiently without the side effects or digestive issues that often come with dairy. Let me share a story about Mrs. Lon, a sweet 70-year-old woman from Hugh. She drank milk twice a day because she was told it would keep her bones young. But she often had bloating and acid reflux, which made her uncomfortable. When I suggested switching to calcium-rich vegetables and fortified almond milk, she hesitated at first. But within weeks, her digestion improved, and so did her energy. Bakasai oi, twathe ne bunghan. She told me, surprised by how her body responded. Milk is not evil. It's just not the only solution, and in many cases, not the most efficient one, especially after 60. If you enjoy milk and have no issues digesting it, you don't necessarily need to give it up. But don't rely on it as your main calcium source. Instead, diversify. Think of milk as one tool in your toolbox, not the entire kit. It's also important to remember that calcium alone won't protect your bones. You need vitamin D to absorb that calcium, magnesium to deposit it into your bones, and vitamin K2 to ensure that it goes to your skeleton, not your arteries. A lot of people take calcium supplements without these cofactors, and that's why many don't see results, or worse, experience calcification in the wrong places. That's another area where milk falls short. It contains calcium, but little magnesium, very little vitamin D, unless fortified, and no vitamin K2. So relying solely on milk can give you an incomplete nutrient picture. Another concern is the type of milk. Many commercial milk products today are highly processed. Some contain hormones, antibiotics, or are ultra-pasteurized, which may alter their nutritional value. Flavored milk, such as chocolate or strawberry varieties, can also contain added sugars, which contribute to inflammation and joint pain, the very issues we're trying to solve. For those who still enjoy the comfort of a warm glass of milk, consider switching to plant-based alternatives that are calcium fortified. Unsweetened almond milk, soy milk, or oat milk often provide similar calcium levels without lactose, cholesterol, or inflammatory compounds. Just be sure to read the labels. Choose options with no added sugar and fortified with calcium and vitamin D. Let's not forget one more critical element. How you consume your calcium matters. Spread it out throughout the day instead of taking it all at once. Your body can only absorb a limited amount at one time, usually about 500 to 600 milligrams. So having calcium in multiple meals, through greens at lunch, tofu at dinner, and almonds as a snack, is more effective than downing a large glass of milk in one sitting. I also advise against consuming calcium alongside caffeine or high amounts of fiber, as both can interfere with calcium absorption. That means no drinking milk with coffee or taking calcium pills right after eating a very high-fiber meal. So what's the final word? Milk isn't bad, but it's not magic either. After 60, your body needs a strategic, well-rounded approach to bone health. That means multiple sources of calcium, paired with the nutrients that help absorb and direct it, supported by movement, rest, and hydration. In the next part, we'll explore the best alternatives to cow's milk, especially for those who are lactose intolerant, vegetarian, or simply want to support their joints and bones without digestive discomfort. These alternatives might just surprise you with how nourishing and delicious they are. Keywords in Part 9: milk and bone health, calcium absorption over 60, dairy alternatives for seniors, vitamin K2 in bones, plant-based calcium sources, osteoporosis prevention foods. Now that we've taken a closer look at milk and its complicated relationship with bone health, let's shift our focus to something even more useful: the best alternatives to cow's milk, especially for people over 60 who may be dealing with lactose intolerance, bloating, or simply looking for a gentler way to support bone strength. Fortunately, the world of nutrition has evolved, and we now have many safe, delicious, and highly effective non-dairy options that provide not just calcium, but also other essential nutrients for bone density, joint support, and overall vitality. Let's start with the most widely available and well-researched option: fortified soy milk. Among all plant-based milks, soy milk is the most nutritionally similar to cow's milk in terms of protein, calcium, when fortified, and essential amino acids. It's also low in saturated fat, contains isoflavones, natural plant compounds that may help maintain bone mass, especially in postmenopausal women, and is easy to incorporate into daily meals. A cup of fortified soy milk typically contains about 300 milligrams of calcium, which is on par with cow's milk. It also often includes added vitamin D, a critical partner in calcium absorption. In clinical studies, women who drank soy milk fortified with calcium and vitamin D maintained better bone mineral density over time than those who didn't. That's especially encouraging for elderly adults in Southeast Asia, where lactose intolerance is widespread. And best of all, soy milk is incredibly versatile. You can add it to porridge, coffee, smoothies, or simply enjoy it warm with a pinch of turmeric and cinnamon for joint support. Another great alternative is almond milk. Naturally low in calories and free from lactose and cholesterol, almond milk is often fortified with calcium, vitamin D, and sometimes vitamin B12, making it an excellent choice for bone and nervous system health. While it contains less protein than soy milk, it's generally better tolerated by sensitive stomachs. Unsweetened almond milk is also a perfect base for herbal teas or nighttime drinks that support digestion and reduce inflammation. One of my patients, Mr. Duong, used to drink cow's milk every morning but struggled with gas and bloating. Once we switched him to fortified almond milk, he was amazed at how much better he felt. Within a month, not only had his digestion improved, but his chronic morning stiffness in the hands began to ease. He now drinks a warm almond milk and turmeric mix every night before bed, and he swears by it. Let's move on to the less well-known but highly nutritious oat milk. Oat milk is becoming more popular due to its creamy texture and naturally sweet taste, which comes from the oats themselves. It contains beta-glucan, a type of soluble fiber that supports heart health and helps control cholesterol. Another bonus for older adults. Fortified oat milk often includes calcium, vitamin D, and vitamin B2, making it a solid addition to a bone-friendly diet. While it's slightly higher in carbohydrates than other milk alternatives, its fiber content supports gut health, which, as we've discussed before, plays a role in mineral absorption. If you're concerned about magnesium, another essential mineral for directing calcium into the bones, consider hemp milk. Made from hemp seeds, this plant milk offers a balance of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, some protein, and a modest amount of naturally occurring calcium and magnesium. While less common in traditional Vietnamese kitchens, hemp milk is particularly valuable for those with inflammatory joint conditions, such as arthritis, due to its natural anti-inflammatory fats. Let's not forget sesame milk or using toasted sesame seeds in recipes, particularly black sesame, which is used in many Asian cultures for hair, bone, and hormonal support. Sesame seeds are among the richest plant-based sources of bioavailable calcium, and they also contain zinc, copper, magnesium, and phosphorus, all vital for maintaining healthy bones. A simple black sesame drink or paste, often served as a dessert or breakfast porridge, can become a daily ritual that supports not only your joints but also your overall energy. For those who enjoy more traditional options, tofu-based drinks or soy curd desserts, like tau hu, can be another bone-friendly choice. When made with calcium salts, such as calcium sulfate, tofu is an excellent source of plant-based calcium. Pairing these with fruit or light syrups makes them both enjoyable and beneficial. Now, here are a few tips to get the most out of these milk alternatives. Choose unsweetened and fortified versions. Many commercial plant-based milks come with added sugars, flavorings, or oils. Always choose options labeled unsweetened and check that they're fortified with calcium and vitamin D. Look for at least 300 milligrams of calcium and 2.5 micrograms, 100 IU, of vitamin D per cup. Shake well before use. Calcium in fortified plant-based milks often settles at the bottom of the container. Always shake the carton well before pouring to ensure you're getting the full benefit. Combine with magnesium and vitamin K2 rich foods. Drinking calcium-rich milk is only part of the puzzle. Make sure your meals also include foods rich in magnesium, like leafy greens, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and vitamin K2, found in fermented foods like natto, aged cheese, or K2 supplements. This combination helps direct calcium into the bones and keeps your arteries clear. Don't drink milk alternatives with iron supplements. If you take iron pills, avoid drinking calcium-rich beverages within 2 hours. Calcium can interfere with iron absorption. Take them at different times of the day. Let me also share a comforting story. Mrs. Liu, a former seamstress who just turned 74, used to avoid all milk because she thought it caused arthritis. When I explained the difference between cow's milk and fortified plant milks, she gave it a try. She started adding sesame milk and tofu into her breakfast routine and began using soy milk in her herbal tea. Her calcium levels improved, and her knees no longer ached when getting up in the morning. Chi doi chut doi quan mathe doi lan gi, she told me with a smile. That's the beauty of food. It doesn't need to be drastic or expensive to be powerful. The right alternative used consistently can work better than what you've always thought was best. In the next part, we'll look at 5 herbal teas that aren't just soothing, but also have proven benefits in reducing inflammation, relieving joint pain, and supporting cartilage regeneration. These teas, drawn from both traditional wisdom and modern research, can become a gentle part of your daily defense against aging bones and joints. Keywords in Part 10: best milk alternatives for bones, calcium-fortified plant milk, soy milk for osteoporosis, sesame milk calcium, non-dairy joint health drinks, lactose intolerance after 60. Sometimes, the most healing remedies don't come in pill bottles or expensive treatments. They come in the form of something simple, familiar, and comforting: a warm cup of tea. For generations, people in Vietnam and around the world have turned to herbal teas not only for hydration, but also for healing. When chosen carefully, certain teas offer more than just relaxation. They contain anti-inflammatory compounds, minerals, and antioxidants that directly benefit your joints and bones. If you're over 60 and looking for natural ways to reduce stiffness, manage pain, or support cartilage, these 5 herbal teas deserve a special place in your daily routine. Let's begin with one of the most powerful natural remedies: ginger tea. Ginger, known in Vietnamese as gung, is more than just a kitchen spice. It contains a compound called gingerol, which has been shown to reduce inflammation, improve blood circulation, and ease pain, especially in people with osteoarthritis or rheumatoid arthritis. Ginger works by blocking inflammatory chemicals called prostaglandins, much like some over-the-counter pain relievers, but without the digestive side effects. Drinking ginger tea in the morning can help loosen up stiff joints and reduce swelling in the hands, knees, or hips. Many of my older patients make it a habit to sip on warm ginger tea after breakfast or add thin slices of ginger to their soup for daily joint protection. Next, we have horsetail tea, truong sin tao in Vietnamese. While not as common as ginger, this ancient herb is a hidden gem for bone health. Horsetail is incredibly rich in silica, a mineral that helps with collagen formation and bone regeneration. Silica supports the structure of bones, joints, and even skin, and helps your body retain calcium more effectively. Studies have shown that horsetail extract may promote faster healing of fractures and improve bone mineral density, especially when combined with calcium and vitamin D. If you've had a past fracture or want to reinforce your skeletal strength, a cup of horsetail tea a few times a week can be a gentle yet powerful choice. Our third tea is one you've probably heard of: green tea. While best known for its antioxidants and weight management benefits, green tea also has remarkable anti-inflammatory effects. It contains compounds called catechins, particularly EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate, which help protect cartilage from degradation and improve joint flexibility. Regular green tea consumption is associated with reduced risk of developing arthritis, and for those already living with it, green tea can lower inflammatory markers in the blood. A warm cup in the afternoon not only refreshes the mind but also supports your joints, bones, and even cardiovascular health. Just be mindful of the caffeine. It's best to drink it earlier in the day if you have sleep issues. Let's now talk about something more calming: chamomile tea. Known for its relaxing properties, chamomile does much more than help you sleep. It contains natural flavonoids and terpenoids that reduce muscle spasms, joint tension, and even support digestion, an often overlooked part of nutrient absorption. Many older adults suffer from nighttime joint pain or muscle cramps. A cup of chamomile tea before bed not only soothes the nervous system but also promotes deep rest, allowing the body to heal and regenerate more efficiently during sleep. In fact, good quality sleep is one of the most underappreciated pillars of joint and bone health. Finally, let's highlight cinnamon tea, a warm, spicy infusion made from K, a staple in many Vietnamese kitchens. Cinnamon is packed with antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds that can help reduce joint stiffness, especially in the hands and feet. More importantly, cinnamon helps improve blood circulation, which ensures that nutrients like calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D are transported efficiently to the bones and joints. Some studies even suggest that cinnamon helps regulate blood sugar, which indirectly supports joint health by reducing glycation, a process that can stiffen connective tissues over time. I recall a lovely couple, Mr. and Mrs. Nan, who came to my clinic for advice on staying mobile into their 70s. They were skeptical of pills but open to trying natural methods. I introduced them to a weekly tea rotation: ginger in the morning, chamomile at night, green tea after lunch, and cinnamon after walks. They followed it faithfully. 3 months later, Mrs. Nan said, "We feel lighter, less creaky, less tired." It wasn't just the tea. It was the routine, the warmth, the quiet moments of care they gave their bodies each day. Here are a few simple ways to incorporate these teas into your routine. Ginger tea. Boil fresh ginger slices in water for 10 minutes. Add lemon and a little honey. Drink in the morning or before meals. Horsetail tea. Use dried horsetail leaves and steep for 5 to 10 minutes. Drink 2 to 3 times a week. Avoid if you have kidney issues or take diuretics. Green tea. Choose high-quality loose leaves or bags. Steep for 2 to 3 minutes to avoid bitterness. Drink mid-morning or early afternoon. Chamomile tea. Steep dried chamomile flowers or use a tea bag. Drink before bed to aid sleep and muscle relaxation. Cinnamon tea. Simmer a cinnamon stick in water for 15 minutes. Optionally add ginger or clove. Great for after walks or cold evenings. A helpful tip: avoid adding too much sugar or condensed milk to herbal teas. Sweeteners reduce the anti-inflammatory benefits. Instead, use a drop of raw honey or enjoy the tea as is. Let the natural aroma and warmth become part of your self-care ritual. Also remember, while tea is supportive, it's not a replacement for calcium, magnesium, or vitamin D. Use herbal teas alongside a nutrient-rich diet and gentle exercise. Think of them as a daily defense system, working quietly to support your joints, bones, and peace of mind. In the next part, we'll explore something many people ask me about: supplements. What actually works? What's a waste of money? And which ones should every person over 60 consider adding to their routine if they truly want to maintain healthy bones and avoid future joint damage? Keywords in Part 11. Herbal teas for joints, ginger anti-inflammatory tea, silica for bone healing, chamomile tea for arthritis, cinnamon circulation tea, best teas for joint pain. At a certain point, no matter how healthy your diet is, your body may need a little extra help, especially after the age of 60. That's when supplements become more than just an option. They become a smart and strategic part of your daily care routine. But here's the problem. The supplement market is flooded with shiny promises. Every bottle claims to support strong bones, eliminate joint pain, or boost flexibility. How do you know which ones truly work and which are just a waste of time and money? Today, I want to guide you through the most essential supplements for bone and joint health, those backed by science and clinical experience. These are the ones I consistently recommend to my patients, especially those experiencing stiffness, declining mobility, or bone density loss. We'll start with the most important: calcium. It's the foundation of your bones. But, and this is key, not all calcium supplements are created equal. The two most common forms are calcium carbonate and calcium citrate. Calcium carbonate is cheaper and more concentrated, but harder to digest, especially for older adults or those with low stomach acid. Calcium citrate, though a little more expensive, is better absorbed and gentler on the stomach. I always suggest taking calcium with food, and not more than 500 to 600 milligrams at a time, because your body can't absorb large doses all at once. That said, calcium alone won't do the job. Without the right partners, calcium can be poorly absorbed or worse, build up in the wrong places like blood vessels or kidneys. That's why the second supplement you need is vitamin D3. Vitamin D helps your body absorb calcium from the intestines and transport it into the bones. Unfortunately, many people over 60 are deficient in vitamin D, especially if they don't spend much time in the sun or have darker skin. The recommended daily dose is 800 to 2000 IU, but blood tests can help determine the right amount for you. Vitamin D works best when taken with vitamin K2, which is the third essential supplement. Think of K2 as the traffic cop that directs calcium into your bones and away from your arteries and joints. Without enough K2, calcium can settle in soft tissues, contributing to joint stiffness, artery calcification, and even kidney stones. Vitamin K2, particularly in the -7 Malawian Quatches form, helps activate osteocalcin, a protein that binds calcium to bone. Most people don't get enough K2 through diet unless they eat large amounts of fermented foods like natto or aged cheeses. A small daily supplement, typically 90 to 200 micrograms, can make a big difference in long-term bone and cardiovascular health. The fourth supplement I recommend is magnesium. It's involved in over 300 biochemical reactions in the body, including the process of building and maintaining bone. Magnesium helps regulate calcium balance, promotes muscle relaxation, and reduces the risk of cramps and spasms. It also supports vitamin D metabolism. Without enough magnesium, calcium, and vitamin D don't work efficiently. For older adults, magnesium glycinate or citrate are well tolerated and highly bioavailable. A daily dose of 300 to 400 milligrams is a good starting point unless otherwise directed by a doctor. Next, let's talk about collagen, specifically type 2 collagen. While types I and 3 support skin and connective tissue, type 2 is the one found in cartilage. After 50, our natural collagen production declines, leading to joint stiffness, reduced flexibility, and a higher risk of injury. Supplementing with hydrolyzed collagen can help restore the cushion in your joints, reduce inflammation, and even improve skin elasticity. In several clinical trials, patients with knee osteoarthritis who took collagen supplements reported significant improvements in pain reduction and mobility within 3 to 6 months. Look for hydrolyzed collagen or undenatured type 2 collagen, UC2, for best results. Another excellent addition is glucosamine and chondroitin. These are naturally occurring compounds found in the cartilage of your joints. Together, they help build and repair joint tissue, increase lubrication, and slow cartilage breakdown. Glucosamine sulfate is the most researched form. Some studies have shown that it can be as effective as low-dose painkillers for people with mild to moderate arthritis. Chondroitin, on the other hand, attracts water into the cartilage, helping it stay plump and shock absorbent. One word of caution: glucosamine is often derived from shellfish, so those with allergies should choose plant-based or synthetic alternatives. Also, these supplements take time, usually 8 to 12 weeks, to show effects. But for many people, the long-term relief is well worth the wait. Let's not forget omega-3 fatty acids, especially EPA and DHA, which reduce joint inflammation and improve joint flexibility. Omega-3s are found in fatty fish like salmon and sardines, but if you don't eat fish regularly, a high-quality fish oil supplement or algae-based alternative is a smart choice. Aim for a daily combined dose of 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of EPA plus DHA. Finally, one newer supplement worth mentioning is boron, a trace mineral that supports calcium and magnesium metabolism and may help prevent bone loss. It also supports hormone balance, which is crucial for maintaining bone density after menopause or andropause. Boron is found in prunes, raisins, and nuts, but also available in small doses, 3 to 6 milligrams, in combination formulas. Now, I know this may seem like a lot, but remember, you don't need to take everything all at once. In fact, many high-quality bone and joint health formulas already combine calcium, D3, K2, magnesium, and boron into one convenient capsule or powder. Similarly, joint repair supplements often blend collagen, glucosamine, and chondroitin. The key is consistency. Choose a supplement routine that fits your lifestyle and stick to it daily. Healing and strengthening your bones and joints isn't about quick fixes. It's about giving your body what it needs to regenerate slowly, gently, and sustainably. Let me tell you about Uncle Bin, a retired bus driver. At 69, he was struggling with daily knee pain and hesitant to take medications. We started him on a basic combo: calcium citrate, vitamin D3, magnesium glycinate, and type 2 collagen. He also began taking fish oil and drinking turmeric tea nightly. After 4 months, not only had his pain subsided, but he was back to his daily walks around the lake. Tua tuong phai gi luan roy, he said, and hung geo thay nain hang han. That's the power of giving your body the right building blocks. Supplements aren't magic, but when chosen wisely and used consistently, they can make aging feel less like a burden and more like a new chapter of strength, clarity, and freedom. In the next section, we'll dive into one of the most critical but often ignored elements of bone health: the exercises that actually strengthen your skeleton and cushion your joints without strain or risk. You'll learn exactly what to do, how often, and why movement is one of the most powerful medicines of all. Keywords in Part 12. Best supplements for bones: vitamin D3 and K2, collagen for joints, magnesium for muscle cramps, calcium citrate versus carbonate, glucosamine chondroitin effectiveness. You've probably heard this before. Take calcium to protect your bones. But here's something few people talk about, and it's critically important. Where that calcium ends up matters more than how much you take. Because if your body sends calcium to the wrong places, like your arteries, joints, or soft tissues, it doesn't just fail to help your bones. It could actually create serious problems. Stiff joints, blood vessel calcification, kidney stones, and even increased cardiovascular risk. So what's the missing key that ensures calcium gets deposited in your bones and nowhere else? That key is vitamin K2, particularly in the -7 Malawian Quatches form. It's not as famous as calcium or vitamin D, but it's just as essential, especially after the age of 60. Think of vitamin K2 as your body's calcium traffic controller. It tells calcium where to go, into bones and teeth, and where not to go, into arteries and joints. Without enough K2, your body may absorb calcium, but it doesn't know what to do with it. This can lead to calcification in the wrong areas, which contributes to stiff joints, high blood pressure, and increased fracture risk. So how does K2 actually work? It activates a special protein called osteocalcin, which helps bind calcium to the bone matrix, the structural framework that holds your skeleton together. It also activates matrix GLA protein, MGP, which prevents calcium from being deposited in the walls of your arteries. Without K2, both of these proteins remain inactive, and calcium begins to circulate freely, settling in tissues where it doesn't belong. There's real science behind this. A study in the Rotterdam Heart Study followed nearly 5,000 adults over 10 years and found that those with the highest intake of K2 had 50% lower risk of artery calcification and heart disease, as well as 25% lower risk of dying from all causes. Another study in Osteoporosis International showed that vitamin K2 supplementation improved bone mineral density and reduced fractures in postmenopausal women, independent of their calcium intake. Now, here's something important. Vitamin K1 is not the same as K2. While K1 is mainly found in leafy greens and helps with blood clotting, it doesn't guide calcium in the same way. Vitamin K2, especially in the -7 Malawian Quatches subtype, stays in the bloodstream longer and is more effective at targeting bone and vascular tissues. That's why when you're choosing a supplement, it should say vitamin K2, -7 Malawian Quatches on the label. You may be wondering, can't I just get K2 from food? Yes, but it depends on what you eat. The richest natural source of vitamin K2 is natto, a fermented soybean dish popular in Japan. Just 1 tablespoon of natto contains enough K2 to meet your daily needs. Unfortunately, its strong smell and sticky texture make it hard to enjoy for many people, especially outside Japan. Other sources include hard cheeses, like Gouda and Edam, egg yolks, butter from grass-fed cows, and chicken liver. But the amounts vary greatly depending on how the food is prepared and where the animals were raised. That's why many older adults benefit from a small daily K2 supplement, especially if they're already taking calcium and vitamin D. I had a patient, Auntie Mai, 66 years old, who was taking a high-dose calcium supplement for years, thinking it would protect her bones. But instead of feeling stronger, she began having stiffness in her shoulders and some mild chest tightness. Her blood pressure also started rising. After reviewing her supplements, I noticed she was taking calcium and D3, but no K2 or magnesium. We adjusted her plan, added a low-dose -7 Malawian kwaches, 90 micrograms, and within 2 months, her stiffness reduced and her energy returned. Twakong ngo chi thu mot Thursday ma on hung nu vei, she said. That's the quiet but powerful role K2 plays. It's especially crucial for people with the following conditions. Postmenopausal women who are losing bone mass more rapidly. Men over 60 whose bone density is declining but often overlooked. People with cardiovascular disease or family history of arterial plaque. Anyone taking calcium supplements long-term. People with limited intake of fermented foods or dairy. Here's how to take vitamin K2 safely and effectively. Choose -7 Malawian kwaches, not -4 Malawian kwaches. -7 Malawian kwaches stays in the body longer and is more effective at lower doses. Take it with meals that include fat, as K2 is fat-soluble and needs fat to be absorbed. A typical dose for bone and heart health is 90 to 200 micrograms per day. Combine it with vitamin D3 for maximum calcium delivery to the bones. Make sure you're also getting enough magnesium, which supports calcium and K2 function. For those who are already dealing with artery stiffness or bone pain, a good combination formula would include calcium plus vitamin D3 plus vitamin K2 plus magnesium, in the right doses, not the highest doses. More is not better. Smarter is better. Some people worry that vitamin K might interfere with blood-thinning medications like warfarin. That concern applies mostly to vitamin K1, not K2, but it's still essential to consult your doctor before starting any new supplement, especially if you're on prescription medication. To wrap this up, I want you to remember this. It's not just about taking calcium, it's about making sure it gets to the right place. And that's exactly what vitamin K2 does. It completes the formula for safe and effective bone building. Without it, you risk doing more harm than good. In the next part, we'll move from supplements to movement. Because the truth is, even the best nutrients won't strengthen your bones without gentle, consistent exercise. You'll learn which activities are safe, effective, and especially helpful for older adults who want to stay mobile and pain-free for years to come. Keywords in Part 13: vitamin K2 benefits, calcium absorption support, -7 Malawian kwacha supplement for bones, artery calcification prevention, osteoporosis vitamin protocol, bone-targeted nutrition. By now, you've learned how food, supplements, and small habits can help protect your bones and soothe your joints. But there's still one powerful, irreplaceable medicine left: movement. That's right, exercise is not just about burning calories or staying slim. For people over 60, it's one of the most effective, natural ways to maintain bone density, reduce joint pain, improve balance, and prevent fractures. The right kind of movement acts like a message to your body. We still need strong bones. We still want flexible joints. Keep building. Keep repairing. The best part? You don't have to run marathons or lift heavy weights. In fact, the most beneficial exercises for bone and joint health are gentle, consistent, and low impact, just enough to stimulate bone-building cells and strengthen the muscles around your joints without overloading them. Let's start with the most foundational movement of all: walking. You may not think of walking as exercise, but it's one of the best weight-bearing activities for older adults. Every step you take sends mild stress through your bones, which triggers them to reinforce and rebuild. Walking also improves blood circulation, strengthens the hip, knee, and ankle joints, and helps reduce inflammation over time. Aim for at least 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. If that feels like too much, start with just 10 minutes after each meal. Over time, you'll notice not just physical benefits, but mental clarity and emotional calm as well. Next, let's talk about resistance training, or as some call it, strength training. This doesn't mean lifting heavy dumbbells at the gym. It can be as simple as using your own body weight, doing squats while holding onto a chair, lifting your heels to strengthen your calves, or using light resistance bands to activate muscles around the shoulders and hips. Resistance training stimulates osteoblasts, the bone-forming cells, especially in areas prone to weakness like the spine, hips, and wrists. 2 or 3 sessions per week is enough to see results over time. Many of my patients fear resistance training, thinking it's too hard or too risky. But when done properly, with good posture and slow movements, it's incredibly safe and actually protects your joints by strengthening the muscles that support them. For example, stronger thigh muscles reduce pressure on the knees. A strong core improves balance, preventing falls and back strain. That brings us to balance and flexibility exercises, which are crucial for preventing injuries, especially falls, which are the #1 cause of fractures in older adults. One of the best practices for this is Tai Chi. Often described as meditation in motion, Tai Chi improves coordination, strengthens the legs, and increases joint awareness. Practicing just 15 to 20 minutes a day can dramatically lower your fall risk and improve your confidence in movement. Another powerful option is yoga. Gentle yoga postures help stretch tight muscles, open up the hips and shoulders, and increase flexibility in the spine. Yoga also teaches body awareness, how to move with intention, how to breathe, how to listen to what your joints are saying. For people with arthritis or joint stiffness, yoga can feel like oiling the joints from the inside. Just be sure to start with beginner-level classes or home videos designed for seniors, and avoid poses that put direct pressure on the knees or wrists. One of my favorite movement prescriptions for people with joint discomfort is water-based exercise, like swimming or water aerobics. Water reduces the pressure on your joints while still offering resistance, which helps build muscle and bone strength. It's particularly helpful for those with knee arthritis, back pain, or overweight, where traditional exercise might cause discomfort. Just 30 minutes in the pool 2 or 3 times per week can help restore range of motion, reduce swelling, and boost energy. If you prefer to exercise at home, there are plenty of chair-based routines available online. These include stretches, light arm movements, leg lifts, and even breathing exercises to improve circulation. They may seem simple, but they help maintain mobility and, more importantly, the habit of daily movement. Here's something important to remember. Bones respond to what you do every day, not what you do once in a while. A 10-minute walk each morning is more powerful than a 2-hour workout once a month. Consistency is more important than intensity. The goal is not to exhaust yourself, but to send your bones and joints a clear, regular message. Stay active, stay strong, stay useful. Let me share a quick story. Uncle Ton, 72 years old, had been avoiding exercise for years because of chronic hip pain. He believed that resting was safer, but his mobility kept declining. I gently introduced him to a daily 15-minute chair yoga routine, followed by short walks around his garden. Within a month, his pain decreased. After 3 months, he was climbing stairs again. Kongi min lam duok, and hung geo lai them duok di bo moi sang, he told me. Sometimes all it takes is a small beginning and a little encouragement. Here are a few movement tips I give to every patient. Warm up with slow arm and leg swings before exercise. Stretch gently after your walk or session to reduce soreness. Stay hydrated, especially after workouts, to support joint lubrication. Track your movement. Use a notebook, app, or calendar to stay motivated. Listen to your body. Pain is a signal, not a challenge. And please, consult your doctor before starting any new exercise routine, especially if you have heart conditions, high blood pressure, or joint replacements. In summary, the best exercises for people over 60 are not about sweating, straining, or pushing limits. They are about restoring trust in your body. They are about moving in ways that nourish, not deplete. And most of all, they are about preserving your freedom, the ability to walk, reach, bend, lift, and live without fear. In the final part of this video, we'll bring everything together. You'll discover how to create a simple, sustainable daily routine that integrates nutrition, supplements, movement, and mindset, so you can protect your bones and joints for years to come. Keywords in Part 14: best exercises for osteoporosis, Tai Chi for balance, resistance training over 60, joint-friendly workouts, water aerobics, arthritis, movement for bone density. You've now come a long way, learning what weakens bones, what strengthens joints, the truth about calcium, the power of natural anti-inflammatory foods, and the critical role of movement. But knowledge alone doesn't protect you. Action does. And not big, dramatic actions, but small, simple, daily habits that add up over time. So in this final part, I want to help you build a gentle, sustainable routine that can fit into any lifestyle, especially for those of us over 60 who value both our independence and our peace of mind. We'll start with the morning. As soon as you wake up, take 5 deep breaths and do a few simple stretches in bed. Flex your feet, rotate your wrists, and slowly move your knees side to side. This improves circulation to the joints, gently lubricates your cartilage, and wakes up the muscles. Then, sit at the edge of the bed and take 1 minute to set a gentle intention for the day. Something like, "Today I move with care." You'll be amazed at how this simple mindset shift grounds your body and nervous system. After you get up, enjoy a warm glass of lemon water or ginger tea to jumpstart digestion and hydration. Then, if possible, step outside for 5 to 10 minutes of sunlight. This gives your body a natural dose of vitamin D, which helps absorb calcium and regulates immune function. Even standing on a balcony or by an open window is helpful. Next, have a bone-friendly breakfast. Some simple examples: oatmeal with chia seeds, almond milk and ground flaxseed, tofu stir-fry with leafy greens and sesame seeds, a smoothie with banana, spinach, fortified soy milk, and turmeric. Each of these meals contains calcium, magnesium, omega-3s, and anti-inflammatory compounds to support joint repair and bone strength. After breakfast, aim for 10 to 15 minutes of movement. This could be a brisk walk, Tai Chi, resistance band work, or simple yoga. If you've been inactive, start with just 5 minutes and gradually build. Movement in the morning sets the tone for the entire day. It activates your muscles, improves balance, and signals your bones to stay strong. Then, as you go through your day, be mindful of your posture and mobility. Don't sit for more than 30 to 40 minutes without standing or stretching. Use stairs when possible. Carry groceries in both hands to balance your joints. These tiny acts are part of your exercise too. Around mid-morning or lunch, it's time for your supplements. Based on what we've discussed, a good foundational plan could look like this: calcium citrate, 500 to 600 milligrams, vitamin D3, 1000 IU, vitamin K2, -7 Malawian kwaches, 90 to 200 micrograms, magnesium, 300 to 400 milligrams, omega-3, 1000 milligrams EPA/DHA, optional, collagen, glucosamine, or boron, depending on your specific needs. Always take supplements with food for better absorption, and don't take all your calcium at once. Split the dose into morning and evening if needed. Lunch and dinner should include a mix of dark leafy vegetables, protein, and healthy fats. Consider meals like grilled salmon with bok choy, stir-fried tofu with water spinach and garlic, or a bone broth-based soup with vegetables and black sesame seeds. These are familiar, comforting meals, but each bite is working in your favor, nourishing your bones, calming inflammation, and fueling repair. In the afternoon, you might enjoy a herbal tea break. Choose ginger for inflammation, green tea for antioxidant support, or cinnamon for circulation. Keep your sugar intake low. If you need a touch of sweetness, raw honey is a better option than condensed milk or white sugar. And now comes one of the most healing parts of the day: evening wind down. Many older adults struggle with nighttime joint pain or muscle cramps, which often come from poor circulation, mineral deficiencies, or inflammation built up during the day. To help, follow a gentle stretching routine before bed. 5 to 10 minutes of leg lifts, shoulder rolls, and deep breathing can help loosen stiff areas and prepare your body for rest. If you've split your calcium dose, take the second half with a small snack like yogurt with flaxseed or a banana with a spoon of almond butter. Then, try a cup of warm turmeric almond milk or chamomile tea. This relaxes the nervous system and reduces joint inflammation overnight. Sleep is when your body repairs tissue, rebuilds bone, and balances hormones. So protect it like a treasure. Turn off screens at least 30 minutes before bed. Read a calming book or listen to soft music. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep each night. And most importantly, stay emotionally engaged. Join a walking group. Chat with neighbors. Tend to a garden. Loneliness, stress, and depression also impact physical health, especially bone and joint health, by elevating cortisol and reducing motivation to move. The strongest bones don't just come from food. They come from a life filled with purpose, movement, and connection. Let me share one final story. Mr. Tuat, 71, was once a soldier with strong legs and a determined spirit. But years of inactivity, poor nutrition, and back pain left him hunched and frustrated. When I first saw him, he said, "Chuk twa jia roy, bisiasaioi, kong q duok dao." I told him, "Back chua kan q, bac chi kan chamlai." We built a simple routine: ginger tea in the morning, leafy greens at lunch, evening walks, and vitamin D. Within 4 months, he stood taller. Within 6 months, he joined a local park group. Twakong ngo suang kap lai hoi fuk duok vei, he smiled. That's what I want for you. Not perfection, not pressure, just steady care. A life where you wake up and walk without fear, where you can climb stairs, bend to pick up your grandchild, carry groceries with strength, and go to sleep without pain. That's not just possible, it's within your reach. So here's your routine. Morning, stretch, sunlight, bone-friendly breakfast, movement. Midday, balanced meal, supplements, hydration. Afternoon, gentle walk or tea, light chores. Evening, anti-inflammatory dinner, mobility practice, wind-down tea. Night, sleep, gratitude, and rest for healing. Start small. Pick one habit. Build from there. Your bones and joints are listening, and they are ready to respond. Keywords in Part 15. Daily routine for joint health, bone strengthening habits, morning stretch routine for seniors, evening anti-inflammatory tea, sleep for bone repair, mobility over 60. If you've made it this far, you've already taken the most important step. You've chosen to care for your bones and joints, not just react to problems when they appear. Throughout this video, we've gently explored how aging doesn't have to mean weakness, how food can heal, and how movement, even in small doses, can rebuild what time and stress have worn down. Whether it's through a cup of herbal tea, a few minutes of daily stretching, or the simple act of switching from cow's milk to calcium-rich greens, these tiny decisions add up to something powerful. A body that continues to serve you with strength, comfort, and dignity. The truth is, our bones and joints are more than just physical structures. They are our connection to movement, to independence, to everyday joys. When we nourish them with intention, through the right nutrients, supplements, and habits, they repay us in mobility, stability, and peace of mind. And it's never too late to start. Even the most tired joints and fragile bones respond to gentle, consistent care. I've seen it again and again. So as you continue on your path, remember, health doesn't come from grand gestures. It comes from what you do daily, not occasionally. Start with what feels easy, add what feels right, and most importantly, believe in your body's ability to heal, adapt, and thrive, even in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Because the moment you believe your health still matters, That's the moment you take your first real step toward lifelong strength.